I lived a very cloistered life in a community where we were able to be kids, to think about no race, no issues. We didn't have race thrown at us in the classroom. I had all black teachers who expected us to do the best that we could whenever we were doing our homework and other issues, who encouraged us, who said we were good, we were great, we were good. Even when I came out of the cocoon and we went on a Saturday morning to shop for groceries in Old Hickory at a strip mall that burned down about 15 years ago, maybe 20, what I found out was that we'd go in the grocery store. We knew there was segregation, you could see it. My cousin and I, though, however, sat on the counters at the drugstore and nobody bothered us. When I say I live a cloistered life, I mean I really did. They knew my grandparents. They knew my grandfather was a minister. We'd go in and we'd buy a sundae or an ice cream cone or something every Saturday morning, and we would sit at the counter at the drugstore. And this is an old style, country kind of, and it's a strip mall, but it was just like what you'd see in the movies. Mm-hmm. You know, they have the soda fountain.
Mm-hmm. Old 5 and dimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we'd go in and we'd sit there. Now we would usually sit, it was semi-round, we'd sit on the corners, and we usually sit on the corner away from the window. I do remember that, but we could look out the window. Mm-hmm. My grandfather or my grandmother would come, or my mother would come and get us and say, okay, it's time to go. And nobody would ever tell us we had to move. Nobody would ever tell us we couldn't sit there.
Was that the same true for adults? Did black adults sit at those counters?
No, and they never did. And so that was the interesting piece, because one day I said, why don't you all sit down, talking to my grandparents? And they said, girl, go, let's go. And that's all they ever said, you know. My father would tell me about segregation, about issues and things, and to be careful. Mm-hmm. So I knew what was going on. And the older I got, the more I learned about it. When I was this was about 1960, was when they had the demonstrations in Nashville. And I was like, why are they having this problem? And why aren't they sitting at the counter? You know, I sit down at the drugstore all the time and have an ice cream. My father said, and you know what? You're fortunate, because not everybody can do that. Your mom and I can't do that, and others can't do it. And at some point, you're going to get to the age where you can't do it either. So there was some age issues. We were little kids, so nobody bothered us.